Hey Steelers fans, I'm Thomas Mott. Welcome into our Steelers Talk mailbag video. Something new we're doing here on the channel where our subscribers, you guys, submitted mailbag questions down below, and we're going to answer as many as we can in about 10 minutes. First though, over under 8.5 wins for the Steelers this season. That's what Vegas has them at right now, right? 8.5, over under. Type O down below for over. I think it's going to be under, and then you're one of Debbie Downer, but you can type U down below for under. Give me the over though on 8.5 wins. That's some pretty good betting odds right now for you Steeler fans out there. All right, let's jump into your mailbag questions from Jonas Gotts, however you say your last name, whatever. Jonas, he says, how realistic is it that Haskins will be the quarterback starting week 1 in 2022? Ooh, I think pretty unrealistic. I'm not very sold on Dwayne Haskins. You might be, I'm not. We'll see what happens. Can he even win the backup quarterback job? Either way, what he did at Washington was very, I think, underwhelming and extremely disappointing for a first-round quarterback. Here's the deal. You want to know what I think about 2022 for the Pittsburgh Steelers? I bet the Steelers will draft a quarterback in 2022. Not because Big Ben's going to be terrible this year, but simply because I think Big Ben is probably going to go ahead and retire after this year. I mean, all of the signs seem to kind of indicate that he is going to retire. And if he plays well, and again, he's slimmed down, reportedly, he's gotten healthier. Maybe he wants to add to that if they play well this season or go to the postseason, whatever it is. So he could come back. But I'm going to predict that Big Ben either retires or the Steelers just either way want to go ahead and draft a quarterback because, you know, they got to have a future plan. I just don't think Mason Rudolph or Dwayne Haskins is the future at quarterback. And honestly, like, to answer your question, I think Haskins is going to lose this quarterback battle to Mason Rudolph because Rudolph at least knows the offense, has been in the Matt Canada system, even though he was the quarterback coach over the last year. And so I think Rudolph has a better chance of winning these backup quarterback job, meaning that Haskins has really no shot at being the quarterback in 2021. Now, I mentioned that, you know, potentially the Steelers are going to go ahead and draft a quarterback here in next year's draft, and there are plenty of options. And if you don't know the quarterback names, you might as well get familiar with them a little bit right now as a Steeler fan. Here are the guys. I think Spencer Rattler probably turns out to be the #1 pick, or at least close to the #1 quarterback in the NFL draft out of OU. Sam Howell gets a lot of Baker Mayfield comparisons. You see him twice a year with the Cleveland Browns, but Sam Howell, again, a lot of hype around him. You have Malik Willis from Liberty, who you won't get to see a lot this year because he plays at Liberty, but great quarterback. You got Slovis out of USC, who has got a really good arm, but needs to progress a lot, I think, in order to become a first-round draft pick. But again, the Steelers could spend a later-round draft pick and bring in a guy to build for the future. And then there are some dark horse candidates like Emory Jones out of Florida getting a lot of help, or Jones out of Florida getting a lot of hype. Carson Strong is getting a lot of hype as well. JT Daniels might be the best quarterback in the SEC this year out of UGA. Great arm as well in terms of the overall arm talent. So there are plenty of options right now that they could draft. It's too far in the future to worry about it, but I truly think that your answer for who the quarterback is 2022 is probably going to be either Big Ben for coming back for another year, or they draft somebody and kind of rebuild and restart and with a completely new quarterback, which is going to be crazy because we've had Big Ben in the Steel City for a very, very long time. Who do you guys think starts week 1 of 2022? I know, like, we're going to talk about 2021 here in a second with other questions, but who starts week 1 of 2022? Type H down below for Haskins, type R down below for Roethlisberger, or type D down below for draft pick. Again, I think it'll be either Roethlisberger or draft pick, but give me your thoughts down below in the comments section. The S fan says, does Big Ben actually look slimmer to you? You guys probably saw the training camp photo that came out of him walking up to training camp, and he was being interviewed, and some people were taking photos, you know, making fun of the fact that he's not, like, I don't know, jacked and at 10% body fat. Here's the deal. I think he kind of looks slimmer. I mean, I think if you were to compare him to what he was the past couple of years, he has lost weight. I take him seriously that he has actually put a big emphasis on health and physical health and nutrition as well. But we also got to realize that Big Ben was not going to walk in here, you know, with a six-pack of abs and super ripped veins on his arms. It's not how Big Ben is. He's a big guy. And he needs to be big in order to still be the Big Ben of the past, where he can kind of move around and shed some tackles. I know he's getting a little too old for that, but I think he slimmed down enough for it to be noticeable. Again, just a little bit. But I think the noticeable improvements will be on the football field and not whether he looks slimmer via someone's iPhone camera or not. So I'm not worried about it. I think it's funny that people made fun of him, though, because he said he was slim, and I think the overhype got to it. It's like, oh, is he actually slimmer? And then you get the picture, and it's like, oh, like, is he actually slimmer? So I'm not worried about it, but I do think that he does look slimmer by just a little bit, which is fine. Okay, we're going to keep going here. We are so close to 3,000 subscribers on the channel, so if you're brand new and like what we do here in terms of getting you guys up to date, the latest Steelers news and rumors, go down below and subscribe. We're keeping an eye out for Steven Nelson's, even Howard trades in terms of signing people as well as training camp, which is basically underway, and so we're going to keep you guys up to date on the latest training camp news and rumors as well. Go down below and help us blow this channel up and get as many subscribers as we can as we approach 3,000. All right, RRLO1T, okay, however you say your name, here's your question. Could the Steelers trade Benny Snell to the Rams? You know, it's not a bad idea, honestly. And you're saying, why do the Rams, Thomas? Well, if you're not paying attention in the NFC, the Rams just lost Cam Akers, their star young running back, their #1 running back, to an ACL injury during, I think he was just running around or he was lifting weights or something. It was just one of those freak, terrible ACL injuries. So the Rams running back depth chart is really bleak. And there have been talks about how the Pittsburgh Steelers could look to trade Benny Snell after drafting Najee Harris in the first round of the 2021 NFL draft. And so I'd be open to it, but I wouldn't be racing to trade Benny Snell. Like, I know you got other people behind him and like McFarland and Balaj, but I do think that Snell is the perfect fit to be the #2 back. He has the most, he has the most Steeler experience, I should say, and so I'd like him to be the #2 back, but I think you kind of got to go ahead and get into training camp and see if Harris is as good as we think he's going to be, because if Najee Harris is a baller, then Benny Snell's barely going to see the football field. And so if the Rams came with a big offer of a mid-round draft pick, then maybe you go ahead and ship him off, but I wouldn't be calling, the LA and be like, oh, do you guys want Benny Snell? I'd be like, the Rams have called us, Najee Harris looks pretty good. What's the asking price? Okay, let's move on. So we'll see. I mean, and again, if you send him to the Rams, you're not helping any team in the AFC, so it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. I like to keep him, but at the right price and for the right time. And if Harris balls out as we expect, then sure, go ahead and trade Benny Snell. Just One Steeler says, what's your biggest concern with this team? There aren't a lot, and I think you could say cornerback could be a big concern right now. I think you could say offensive line be a big concern as well, which it obviously is. My biggest concern is Big Ben. And it's not because I'm a hater of Big Ben or I think Big Ben is going to stink. It's because I want to know that the late year last year Big Ben, the final 4 games and the playoff game against Cleveland, is not the new normal. Because I think that you can still get a lot of success out of Big Ben as long as he doesn't continue to regress off of what we already saw last season. And I don't think Big Ben was trash last year. Like, the arm strength was an issue. The accuracy was a little bit of an issue. But he still played well enough for them to win double-digit games and the division. I think you get that version of Big Ben this year, they can still be very, very successful. But if he regresses any more from that, then maybe the success starts to dip a little bit. If the Steelers struggle this year, I want it to be not because of Big Ben. I don't want it to be only because of Big Ben, but if you're asking me the biggest concern, I think you have to put Big Ben on that list just simply because, again, there has been a regression. Now, I don't think it's as crazy, as I said, as some people in the media want to, Big Ben is so washed he can hardly throw a football down the field. I don't think that's the case. I think that Matt Canada has some work cut out for him to make sure the offense works with Big Ben this year, and I think running the football with Najee Harris goes a long way, but I'm not worried or concerned about Big Ben having any sort of actual issue in terms of, having a massive regression. But again, the question is biggest concern. The concern would be, at least for me, Big Ben, if we see early signs of regression in week 1 versus when we saw them towards the latter part of the year in 2021. So I think they're going to be okay. I mean, offensive line, again, is probably the next big concern here. I think the defense is going to ball out regardless of if they want to go ahead and add a cornerback in Howard or Nelson or whatever it is. Upon filming this video, they haven't signed or traded for either one of them. But I think the rest of the offense, besides offensive line, running back will be fine with Najee Harris. Obviously, the wide receivers are going to be good to go. It's up to Big Ben and the O-line to hopefully take away any concerns that you or I have about the team. What's your confidence level in Big Ben right now? Let's go scale from 1 to 10. Are you at a 1 where you're like, Big Ben stinks and he's going to be benched? Because there are people out there, which is crazy. Are you at a 10 where you're like, Big Ben rocks and he's the best? I'm not on either side. I think I'm more like a 7. 7 confident in Big Ben. If the nutrition and the newfound focus helps out, then maybe he takes a little step forward. And if he does, again, it's a roster that's Super Bowl ready and double-digit win ready, and so I feel very confident about at least that. Give me your thoughts still on the scale from 1 to 10. We'll do one more here. J-Dog says, Howard, odds the Steelers trade for Xavier Howard. I'll just say this. Howard is tough to swing. And we've talked about Xavier Howard the past couple of days here on the channel and gotten a lot of feedback in terms of possibly wanting a trade or possibly going out and getting Xavier Howard. I don't think it's going to work. I think that Howard's going to be too expensive, and then you got to re-sign him, and money is kind of an issue. But I would love it. I mean, it would be obviously an upgrade. I'm not hating on Cameron Sutton because I think that Nelson or Howard would be a bigger upgrade. But I would like Howard. I don't know if he's necessary for this team to be successful. I think they can be very successful without him. And so the price to move him from Miami to Pittsburgh would probably be a first-round draft pick, maybe a second-round draft pick, and then you re-sign him to a massive deal. I just think it's too much for a team that doesn't necessarily have to have him to win games this year. Again, I think they're going to be okay. And the division, in my opinion, is not that great with wide receivers. Like, sure, you get Jamar Chase in there now, and sure, you're going to go ahead and see OBJ again this year, but I think they're going to be just fine. I think Joe Hayden's going to be good, and I like Cameron Sutton on the outside as well. If you sign Steven Nelson and you replace Cameron Sutton with Nelson on the outside, that's fine by me too, but I think it's hard to swing Howard, which is the reason why no team has made a real big push for him so far, because he is an elite corner, and the Dolphins are trying to win a playoff series as well, or at least get to the postseason, and Howard's a big part of that as well in the end. All right, ultimate for today here on our Steelers Talk mailbag video. We're starting doing this every single week, so make sure you guys are subscribed, and also go down below and use the hashtag Steelers to ask a question for next week's mailbag. So we're going to start doing this every single week. On the current mailbag video, your questions will be pulled for next week's mailbag video. So the hashtag Steelers down below to go ahead and get your question on the show. Ultimate for today here on our Steelers Talk video. Again, I'm your host, Thomas Mott. We go ahead and sign off. Enjoy the rest of your day.